Welcome to FPB's Meet the Candidates. This Cable 10 series allows you, the voter, to hear directly from our candidates about issues that are important to our community. This is all leading up to the general election, where voting starts early on October 13th and goes until Election Day on November 3rd. So for our interviews, we took questions from our community via social media and email. So we have a lot to talk about, so let's jump right in. Today's guest is Jake Banta, and he is a candidate for Jailer. Welcome, Jake.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Ms. Lindsey.
Absolutely. So just to get started, let's say for those of you who have never met you before and haven't heard from you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Jailer?
Sure. Thank you. I'm Jake Banta. I'm 45 years old. I was born and raised in Frankfort and Franklin County. I've lived here most of my life, other than a short stint in Shelby County, where I met my wife, Melissa. That's the one good thing I got from Shelby County. And then we moved back to Franklin County and raised our kids here. Professionally, do you want me to go there?
Yeah.
My law enforcement career.
What previous experience do you have that you think qualifies you to be the jailer? So
okay. I think that I'm very qualified to be the jailer. I've been in the jailer for a little over a year now. But I started my law enforcement career in 2001 at the Frank County Regional Jail under James Kemper. I started as a deputy and worked my way up. I worked my way up through the shifts and supervisors, and learned a little bit about supervising people at that point. And then I got promoted to transport supervisor, and I learned a lot about the court system there, the criminal justice system and the court system, because I was in court every day. I learned what prosecutors did, I learned what judges did, and I learned what defense attorneys did, and pre-trial and that whole gamut. So in 2007, I was very fortunate to get hired by Steve Clark at the Frank County Sheriff's Office, and was sent to the police academy in April of 2007. And being in the transport part of the jail, I was a little bit ahead of the game with how the court system worked. I graduated the police academy in August 31st of 2007 and started working night shift at the Frank County Sheriff's Office. Worked there for several years on night shift. I really enjoyed night shift. Then I went to day shift for a little while. Then I was promoted to detective, and I really, really enjoyed working cases. I worked all kinds of cases, about everything that the sheriff's office did at the time. I wanted to be knowledgeable in all of them. So I worked narcotics, I worked child cases, crimes against children. I worked homicides. I worked a lot of robberies and burglaries and theft cases, blue collar theft cases. Really enjoyed that. And then I was promoted to sergeant over detectives towards the end of my career there at the sheriff's office. And in 2019, early in that year, I got injured and ended up working light duty at the jail. And the next thing you knew, I was interviewing for the jailer's job, and I got it. And I was appointed in September of 2019, and I've just got my first year under my belt, and it's been a blur. It's been a wild ride, and I've enjoyed it, and I have a lot of work left to do.
Okay. Well, you talked about how you learned, like when you're at the courts, the different roles of the people in the courts. So can you explain to our viewers the role of a jailer, and what does jailer mean to you? What does a jailer do?
There's a lot of different roles as the jailer. The jailer's safety and security of the facility and the staff and the inmates is priority number one. The budget is at the top of the line too, and we're through this budget session, and we've got a lot of work to do to make sure we save some money. Working with the courts, the fiscal court and the judicial center, working with them to get things done. Right now, we're in a whole different ball game right now, where we're doing a lot of things digitally, and you only have so many people, and we're learning as we go, but we're trying to accommodate as much as we can digitally. We're still not letting anybody in the jail. I'm getting off pace there, but as the jailer is, the number one is the safety and security of the facility, the staff, and the inmates. Then the financial part of it, working with other agencies and taking care of your staff. Okay.
Well, obviously, as you alluded to, there's a lot going on right now. And, the last time we spoke 4 months ago, we were dealing with the COVID pandemic, and here we are still dealing with it.
Yes,
and, since then, there have been more than 500 positive cases reported in Franklin County. In other areas, we've seen massive outbreaks in correctional facilities. So what steps in a pandemic response need to be taken in our county jail to prevent a possible outbreak or just to slow the spread if something happens?
Well, I can tell you what we're doing, and it seems to be working. We are very strict on the intake of inmates. We are the arresting officer will bring a new arrestee in, and my medical staff and my staff will meet them in the Sally Port. They'll check their temperature and put them through what we call a triage questionnaire, who they've been around and stuff of that nature. And we've denied several inmates or prisoners, and I don't like doing that, but I have to take the safety of the facility first. The police officers and the judges and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and the whole Judicial Center have been really gracious of trying to slow the traffic down as much as possible. Our numbers are going back up slowly, and we've slowed down any inmates from other facilities. Just today, federal marshals wanted me to take somebody from another county and just wouldn't do it. I want to help them. I want that revenue, but I can't justify maybe infecting 200 other inmates just to get that one. So we are being very, what's the right word? We're being very choosy of who comes in and out of the building. On the secure side of the facility, very little traffic at all. Arresting officers, medical, and staff is about all that we're allowing inside the building right now. The attorneys are going through through some digital stuff and the visitation booths, and I know that's kind of a pain sometimes, but it's helping. We're minimizing traffic, and we're blessed to this day. We still have no positive cases at all that we know of, and we're doing something right. But at the same time, we can do everything right and still get it. I mean, it's just a crazy time.
It is. So you mentioned missing out on some revenue by not taking in a new inmate. So I know that COVID, nationwide, especially here in our county and the city and the county and schools, it's affecting budgets.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
yeah. So what are your plans to address the budget at the
Same thing in the primary we talked about. We're going to spend less and we're going to go after revenue, and I'm doing exactly that. We are negotiating right now with the federal marshals to get our per diem up for the inmates that we house for them. I can't find anywhere where it's been negotiated in the last 30 years. And we're right in the middle of that negotiation, and it could mean hundreds of thousands of dollars for our revenue in the bottom line. And I said in the primary that I would go after revenue, and we're going to do that. We're also going to shop some other contracts throughout the year to try to save the county some money. With the state inmates are still dwindling. The governor let out another bunch here recently. Didn't affect Frankfort County Regional Jail too much. But we don't know when the state inmates are coming back. Hopefully they don't. Like I said before, the governor gave them a pass. Hopefully they utilize it. But it's going to take time for the state inmates to come back. So I'm going to try to utilize getting more federal inmates in and then raising the per diem from $30 to possibly $50 a day per inmate to generate lost revenue. And there's some other paths that we're looking at too to try to do that. And it's a constant battle, but main thing is spend less, make more.
That sounds good. Nationwide, the COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated the systemic inequalities that lead to persons with mental illness being treated differently than other prison populations. So what improvements do you suggest to effectively address the mental health of prisoners?
It's a great question. We need to find some other way of treatment for individuals that have mental deficiencies, mental handicaps, I should say. They just don't understand. And the jail's not the place for them. But we have to find somewhere, some treatment or something. I think that my answer to that is we're going to find some type of legislation or some laws or something. I mean, it's my duty to take somebody that has violated a crime and has been charged with one. But it's also, then it's my duty to make sure that they're safe when they're in the jail. I take mental handicap and mental issues as serious as I do the withdrawal system right now, because that is exactly the dangers that we face, and we have to notify those. And I'm looking for answers too, Miss Lindsey, on that. I'd like to see a change in, if somebody's got mental issues, that the jail's not the place for them.
Okay. Well, this summer, after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, our country saw a rising movement in the calls for social justice. So my first question to you on this subject is, do Black lives matter? All
lives matter. I believe, it's time for us to listen to each other. I think it's time for us to step back and listen to each other. The whole country needs to take a step back and listen to each other. I think both sides have great points, and I think every life matters.
So how do you feel the Franklin County Jail rates when it comes to effectively ensuring the equal treatment of minority inmates? And at the jail, how would you make improvements to this?
Well, the number of inmates inside the jail right now that are African American and white it's predominantly white. It's a small percentage, but we train our officers to treat inmates, no matter sex, race, whatever, to treat them equally. Fair, firm, and consistent is what we train, and our training's getting better. It's a constant battle, and hiring process is a constant battle, and I want my staff to mirror our community as much as possible. It makes things easier on everybody. So I think just sitting back and listening and trying to adapt as the times change is how that I want to move forward.
Okay. Well, the jail has been in the news lately after an investigation found that a former chief deputy violated the jail's sexual harassment policy. So as jailer, what steps would you take to ensure that this behavior is not tolerated?
Same as my answer before in the last interview that I did. We're not going to tolerate sexual harassment in any form. You have to understand if an allegation is brought up, it has to go through the investigational process. I was not the jailer then, and I don't feel like it's fair for me to speak about that. It's no hidden secret that Rick Rogers is a friend of mine, and I know Rick cared about his staff, and he did what he felt was best at the time. But I'm not going to Monday morning quarterback that. I was at the Franklin County Sheriff's Office at the time. But I can tell you, when I'm the jailer, we're not going to tolerate any harassment.
Okay. So beyond that, if something like that happens, what would you do to ensure improvement in transparency?
In transparency, the investigation, I would call for an investigation, and the investigation has to be complete. If you fire somebody before that investigation's done and there's no fault, if there's no fault found, then you're dealing with a wrongful termination suit. So as being a former investigator, you have to let the investigation finish and then make your judgments. So I would let the investigation be complete. I would communicate with my county attorney, that would be the prosecutor, and then we would make a decision at that time.
Okay. As a jailer, we've talked about this before and you addressed it earlier, you will likely have to deal with the effects of the drug epidemic that we're seeing in our nation. Not only in our country, in our county, but nationwide. So how will you ensure that addicted inmates get the critical treatment that they need? And then my follow-up question on that is, then how will you ensure that inmates do not have access to drugs within the facility?
Well, the treatment process is, we're going to have to look at it as a community to try to get some type of treatment for the inmates during the court process. The jail is, we can help with treatment, but leading that way it would be really tough on us. So it has to start in the court process and get inmates to treatment. To answer your question about stopping drugs inside the jail, like I told you before, I was a narcotics detective. I fought the war against drugs, and I know exactly what it is. We fight it every day. Every day we try. There's smart people that come in jail, and everybody that comes to jail is not uneducated. They're smart people, and they have an addiction, and they'll do almost anything to get drugs inside the jail. We do a screening process. We have a scanner. It's a great tool. It's not 100%. We have other issues with people trying to bring contraband, and I have some plans for that we're working with, writing some grants to get some stuff done. Just to be blunt, I'm trying to put a fence around the building to keep traffic out of there at night. You know, when I don't, at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, people drive through there, and I'm trying to prevent that. That would cut down some. Furloughs have always been an issue, and you know, an inmate goes to the dentist, and who knows what they're trying to bring back. So it's a constant. We're going to have to keep fighting against it and keep doing our job as best we can. It's a scary thing to think that there's drugs back in a pod, but the fact of the matter is it happens sometimes. And I wish that would be 100% stopped, but you know, when they're sitting there figuring out a way to do it, and we're sitting there trying to figure out a way for them not to do it. Yeah. So, you know, as long as inmates get furloughs and they're willing to put drugs in places that most normal people won't put drugs, we're going to have a battle. Okay.
Well, so what changes in policy do you think need to be made, if any, to hold inmates accountable for criminal activity within the facility?
Well, that's already being done. I'm not sure that needs to be any policy change there, even though we're reviewing the policy. And like I told you before, the policy manual at the Frankfort County Jail is huge. So we're going through that piece by piece, and we're going to be making a few changes. But back on the subject, we have an investigator that charges people on a regular basis. He is at the grand jury on a regular basis. And if you violate a crime inside the jail, you will be charged.
Okay. Well, you spoke to this, hinted at it, about some different programming that you'd like to have at the jail. So what innovative programming would you like to implement? You know, it could be, you know, anything that increases revenue, impacts recidivism, or, you know, provides some education and training for the inmates.
Well, the fact of the matter is we have a ton of programs now. Yeah. Revenue-wise, I'm not sure it helps too much, but it's more important to help the inmate. We have a ton of those right now that pretty much for 2 or 3 months have been put on pause until here recently. Excuse me. We have tried to become a digital, we use a digital way to do things. We have started up another Zoom and other, I'm not a computer person, digital things to do other things with, like church classes, churches. We're going to have a church program here soon on the tablet that will be free to the public and free to the inmate. It's just free. And they're going to have access to that, because the Zoom system that we had a huge TV donated by the Wanda Robinson Foundation, and we appreciate that so much. And then basically what it's done is gave us 2 different options for court, 2 different options for like Bible studies with groups of 6 to 12, somewhere in that area. We still have to maintain space. Right. We still have to be safe, but we are trying at the jail to get back to doing something. I've been in talks with GET classes and the MRT classes and the all the classes to try to get them started back up digitally. GED is going to be tough because the test has to be given in person. I'm just not willing to let them on the secure side of the jail yet. Right. Safety. But you know, the AA meetings and the other classes we can all do digitally. It may be on a smaller version. They may have to do several. I don't know how many go to MRT classes, anger management classes at one time, but it's going to have to be limited to 10 or 12. So if we have to do a couple a month instead of one, that's what we're going to have to do. But we started those back up, and trying to get the RISE program is getting ready to start back up too in a new class. So we're trying to get things rolling back to normal through some digital means. Did I answer your question?
Yes,
I
I know.
love to talk about the jail. Sometimes I just get going.
Well, I know that with COVID, it's provided some challenges for you guys and for the inmates in order to access the stuff that they're usually used to. So so any digital use that they can get, I think is what you're saying is what you're all trying to do.
We're trying.
Yeah. Okay. So we hit on it a little bit about treating addiction and mental health, but just in general, how would you ensure that the medical program is adequate to meet the jail's needs?
Yeah, this has been a topic. We just signed another contract for 1 year with our medical group. That's 24 hours around the bases. They're getting a lot better at making sure that happens. And what I mean by that, every once in a while, the night shift nurse, they may have to call one in from another thing. But here lately, it's been, in the last couple months, it's been a lot better. We signed that because we needed to at the time, and I'm not saying I'm not happy with them. I'm just saying it's time to shop the medical companies. What I found out was there's not too many medical groups that are capable of providing what we need. There's more since we've looked. There's a couple new companies. Bottom line is, next year we're going to shop our medical contract out. I believe it's just like your insurance at home on your car. Every couple of years, I'm not saying I'm switching. I'm saying I'm going to shop. So, I think it's just like insurance. Every once in a while you need to look. And the fiscal court's asked me to do that, and I'm going to.
Okay. Well, we're going to wrap it up. And I'm going to let you take it over. And you can talk, besides the basics, what do you want people to know about you? And this is your opportunity to tell people why you're the best candidate for jailer and ask for their vote.
Thank you. Franklin County, thank you all so much. I'm very honored to be the Democratic nominee through the last primary. Like I said before, I've got 19 years of experience. I've got 1,300 plus hours of training in the leadership roles and law enforcement. The person I'm running against is a great person. Bottom line is, my resume is just longer. I love him to death, and I just have more experience in leadership role. I asked for your vote. The precincts are going to be a little different than this. I got an email this morning from Jack Kennedy. Go to govotekentucky.com. You can start getting a absentee ballot now through October 9th, and you can start voting in person October 13th to November the 2nd. And there's, I believe, 7 precincts. The map is on my website, Jake Banta for Jailer on Facebook. I just ask for your vote and let me continue working hard to make the jail as good as I can make it every day. We strive every day to get better. We're not perfect, but we work hard to get better. I ask for your vote. Most importantly, stay safe and healthy.
Thank you so much, Jake. I know that our viewers appreciate hearing from you. I know I do, and we wish you the best of luck.
I also want to thank the plant board. Y'all do a great job of finding different ways to let the viewers make a good decision. And I thank you, Miss Lindsey, too.
Thank you so much. I know it's been difficult for the candidates during this time. So anything we can do to help get the word out and get your message out, that's what we're here for. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
To our viewers, I want to say thanks for watching. But it's important to get informed so that then you can head to the voting booth or your mail-in ballot and voice your choice. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Meet the Candidates.